for me, like there's nothing more expensive. There's nothing more expensive than the knowledge I don't have. And I need to become a better direct response marketer. I need to become a better.
I'm stealing that, Lee. Nothing's more expensive than what we don't know, right? Like,
that's right.
I love that.
What's up, everybody? I've got a special guest for you on today's Blue Collar Boardroom, CEO of Apple Roofing, Dustin Biegler. I met him recently at a conference, and he really, really impressed me. As an interview that I saw on another YouTube channel, saw a tour of his office. This man has done amazing things. He's built a strong local business, expanded into many markets. He has, built an office and a system for roofing and contracting growth that's very unique. Customer service based, and I really, really am excited about getting into the nuts and bolts, how Apple Roofing works, your journey as a leader, and how you guys started, man. So welcome to the Blue Collar Boardroom, my friend. Really appreciate you having me on having you on my show.
Happy to be here, Lee. I got to say I was very equally impressed when I met you. I think everybody's got impressions of people, or whatever, and then you actually meet them, and that's the only way you can really judge somebody, And I was really impressed. You've really mastered your craft, in a lot of areas. You had a lot of excitement when you spoke. I'd never seen so many people get as excited as what you got them,
It's an important thing because, look, in life, there's a lot of things to be frustrated about. There's a lot of things to be uncertain about, and there's a lot of people out there that tell you when you get excited about something, something's wrong with you. And I think that those are the forces of average trying to hold people back. And if you're going to be enthusiastic, be enthusiastic. And I give you permission to love the blue collar American dream, to fix big problems for big paychecks, to want to go get your hands dirty, build a big, great contracting company. Who cares if maybe sometimes bad things are going to happen? If you build things go wrong. Sometimes people fall off the job. Sometimes people get hurt. Sometimes jobs have to be fixed. Sometimes customers and people in your organization are not as happy as you wish they were. And a lot of times the expense of growing a company is really what prevents people from trying to go big like you, Dustin. There's a myth out there that if you stay small, it's easier. That a smaller business, if they just keep it small, is maybe the desire. Now, it's not necessarily the approach you took to it.
Well, I think being small is harder.
Yeah, I think so too.
It really is. I mean, when you think about when somebody starts their business, when you're small, you're wearing all the hats. And as soon as you can build a team around you, it really enables you to start to narrow your focus a little bit. And, teamwork makes a dream work saying, it's so true.
Walk me through when it was operating off of you. And a lot of my viewers are in that $1 million to $5 million phase. You're doing lots of different things. Walk me through what you're doing, your pain points, how you got through that point to get to where you are now.
Okay, so when I look at let's start at the $1 million mark, right? That's probably most often a one-man show, right? You're wearing all the hats, and that's extremely. It requires a lot of multitasking, right? 1 minute you're selling, the next minute you're doing production, the next, maybe at night you're doing your billings and your book work. Your mind is going from one place to the next very rapidly, right? And it is a very high profit margin place to be, right? Because when you get to that $3 to probably even $7 million, you're incurring all this overhead, right, that you never experienced before. So I always say that $3 to $7 million is probably the toughest place to break through, right? That's where we all struggle. Either sometimes it's better to be smaller than that, so you can do half the work and make the same money, or grow out of it, right? But don't you don't really want to stay in that zone. That's what the way I think about it is. That's the toughest zone to be in.
I agree, man, because one day you're worried about sales and you're training your sales team, but the next day you've got production. But then you train a production manager, and the next day the production manager thinks he runs your business, and he goes off and tries and starts his own company, or demands a raise, and now you have to start over again. And now you're back to doing production. You're not sales managing, and I think basically at 3 to 7 million, that you should have a production manager and office manager. You should have the ability to hire, sales guys and train them in a consistent manner. And you should have a CRM and a system. And once you have those components, it really becomes how well do you train salespeople? How well do you generate leads? And, it comes to you got to score points. I mean, the software systems, the back end, none of that makes you the money that, the sales, the marketing, the recruiting does. And so what to you is the most important way that you score points, or what do you think is a unique way that you build sales teams?
Well, when I think about that, Lee, I really think, you mentioned like turnover and things like that happen, right? And I've really come to the mindset, right? Like if somebody has a better opportunity somewhere else or sees a better opportunity somewhere else, they should probably go chase it. But it's not always, as easy as maybe what it looked like when they were working in your company, right? So like they're going to have to learn the same struggles that we all had, going through. But as the owners of our business and leaders in our business, it's our job to make sure that, people have that like upward mobility within our company, right? Like it's not a job, it's a career, and that they can see the future, that they are going to be able to make more money, right? That they can move up in the company, that they can learn more skills, right? Like there should be more upside being on a team and being in your company than maybe the draw of like wanting to go do your own thing, right? And everybody's cut from a little different cloth, and some people are going to want to try that. And a lot of the times they may come back later and say, wow, you know what, I actually was doing pretty good here, why did I leave? But I do think that as the leadership in our companies, we want to always create an environment where people can continue to move up in the company, to increase their skills, right? So like they become more valuable. When people are more valuable, we get to pay them more, right? I love paying people well, because that's the value they're bringing to the company. So, usually in order for that to happen, though, we have to develop them, right? Or help develop them. They bring the grit and we provide the platform, right?
Absolutely, man. And in case anybody's wondering, let's talk a little bit about it. What's really impressive is your own warehousing, your own back-end ordering system. You got a repair division that's profitable. Talk me through the different locations, where you're at, what your goals are for 2021.
Okay, so where we're at currently is we've got 3 offices across Nebraska. We've got Des Moines, Davenport, and Peoria, Illinois, and then Kansas City and Phoenix. We're working on a deal right now in Dallas. We're trying to break into the Dallas market, and the way we chose to do that was do an acquisition. So we're really excited. The people that we're talking to fit very good with us culturally. Really driven individuals, and they're going to fit right in. So really excited about that. And then I am working on a couple other potential acquisitions as well. So really growth, looking to grow, right? Because like I said, like if people are going to be able to move up in the company's got to be growing, right? New positions got to be being made and opened up, and opportunities, right? So if we stay stagnant and decide not to grow, then like somebody's got to wait for Bob to die so they can take his place, right? That's not very exciting. So we're really focused on growth.
I mean, look, dude, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that want their cake and eat it too, but scared money don't win. I did an interview with Brad Lee, and you got to be willing to reinvest back in the company, reinvest in the people. You got to be excited about paying people more. I know there's some people I coach that I talk to, and when I'm early in the process, they just despise the idea about paying for coaching. They want a discount on it. And, for me, it's not necessarily the right person I want to work with, because that person, they're actually eating their own hand. They don't realize that, they should be looking for opportunities to put their money to work. And you've done that many times. Talk to me about the real estate investment and why you chose to, buy your property and what that does for the value of your company. And I think it's a very smart move for all contractors.
Okay, so I do think when it comes to real estate, right? Like, it is a different business than a roofing company, right? But like for us, I have different forms of real estate, right? I do have some multifamily stuff, and then I of course own the real estate where our office is here. And I do encourage people to keep in mind, like, are you a roofing company or are you a real estate company, right? Or do you want to have both? I think when you look at the ROI of if you're going to be around long term, I do think it provides a lot of trust for the community. I think it allows even recruits to view, who we are as a company better, right? So I know, or I feel, I guess, that when we got into our new office, I feel like we had better recruits walking through the door, right? It changes your brand and your image a little bit just because of that. So I think there are some benefits there. But, I mean, Lee, I know you also, like, follow, some of the same people I do. And, taxes is your biggest expense, right? When it comes to running your business. Like, taxes is right up there with your materials and labor, right? So there are some advantages to having real estate in that side, and if you're going to be somewhere long term, then own it, maybe not rent it, right? If you're going to use it every day for many, many years, it starts to make sense.
Yeah, people don't understand. I bought an apartment complex, $11 million property. We spent $1 million fixing it. I get to use the depreciation over the entire length of the loan. And, that really offsets a lot of earnings. And I'm going to be able to, of course, over time, that property is going to value as I raise rent. So it's not only going to offset, tax liability, but I'm going to be able to double my money every 3 to 5 years and make 10, 12, 13% every month. Sorry. But I mean, I don't own my own office, and it came at a weird time because, down here in Naples, I would have had to build it. Is that what you did? Did you build your own?
I did. I built it. Yep.
I had to make a move.
It's not necessary by any means, right? Like, you're still a roofing company, whether you have the real estate or not, right? Like, I think you need to view it as a separate investment,
Absolutely.
But yeah, when you talk about, like, multifamily, if you are a roofing company owner, I mean, this is a pretty good industry to be in, and your tax liabilities at the end of the year are pretty substantial, right? So when you look at, like, the multifamily, like what you're doing, Lee, you're probably putting 20 or 25% down on a property.
Yeah.
And you get to depreciate from the whole amount, right?
Yeah.
From day one. And that is appreciating while you're actually claiming depreciation.
Doesn't make sense to people. They're like, huh? How is that possible? It's called rich person's math.
Well, it works, and you get to actually lower your tax liability, if you're claiming profits on your roofing company at the end of the year, you get to actually deduct your depreciation from your profit, right?
So, I don't own the whole apartment complex, but the deal sponsor, Ben, is a guy from Cardone, and he, lets us do all the contracting work on these deals. We invest into the multifamily group, and we get all the construction work. We get the last right of refusal. So
that's a win-win right there.
Yeah, so a lot of times we have to do the work a little cheaper, It's a retail work. There's multiple bids. we don't really get to be the most expensive guy, but hey, here's the deal. It's guaranteed work. I know who's paying the bills. I'm partner on the deal, and I'm putting my money in a good place. So, I will unpack one thing you said. I said, the most expensive thing we got is material, labor, and taxes. And
Yep.
I have a friend, Myron Golden, and this is one of the things he teaches. He talks about the biggest expense in life. And you would think it is the taxes. However, what if you can advertise, and you could advertise roofs and get them for $500?
Yeah. I mean, knowing your marketing costs, right?
No, I mean, bottom line is like sometimes we can do that. It's hot and cold. I have to create content. It has to be the right. On average, is it $500 a roof? I tell people that's what I go for. A lot of times it goes higher than that. The point is that if I can consistently advertise across the United States in every single market, and my goal is actually, and this is just me sharing my strategy, is to get people on the phone and to sell them the fact that we're going to guarantee we don't charge more than what the insurance company allows. We're going to call people in the path of the storm. We're going to get them a hail and wind history report, a satellite roof measurement, photos, assistance throughout the process, and a guarantee not to charge more than what the insurance company pays. I think you can sell that over the phone. I've sold it over, door to door my entire life, but my goal is to be able to collect the $500 down payment. And for me, if I can get a roof for $500 and then collect the $500 down payment over the phone, then I can spend $10 million advertising for roofs next year. And so in my mind, the biggest expense that I have is the lack of knowledge I have to execute that. So if there's someone that knows how to execute that, and
I like that.
If they were standing over my shoulder and they were, how much would I pay him to make sure that happened? It's one thing to coach me on it. It's another thing to guide me, stand over my shoulder, do it with me. And, for me, like there's nothing more expensive. And there's nothing more expensive than the knowledge I don't have. And I need to become a better direct response marketer. I need to become a better.
I'm stealing that, Lee. Nothing's more expensive than what we don't know, right? Like,
that's
I
right.
love that. You're right.
That's right.
It's cost of opportunity, right?
And that's why, we talked and you were like, there's a lot going on. I got a lot of things going on. And, the one thing I'm passionate about is getting owners' stories told. So you are growing through acquisition. And it's because, dude, you're a great leader, an operator. You got a great system. I want to get in detail about the new systems and CRM stuff. We're going to get into the details of how you run, an inside department where you're basically holding all your own materials. But it's really getting people to know your story. And so what were you before you were successful, Dustin? Walk me through the story part.
Okay. Well, before I was successful, I was a roofer, right? So I'll tell you what, Lee, my story is, I grew up in a small town in western Nebraska. I think there was 6,000-7,000 people in the town. And I didn't graduate high school, didn't go to college. Just as soon as I got out of high school, I started a roofing company because I worked for a general contractor, and I knew that I had an opportunity to get his work, right? So started right there. And I should probably say, when I started, I did a little bit of everything, right? Because that was the reality when you're living in a little town, is you've got to keep busy. So ran that, that company, I guess I should say, for several years. And I was broke the whole time. But I got to say, back to your statement that you said a little bit ago, guess how much I was investing in my mind at that time? It was like zero, right? I was working my ass off, but I wasn't like investing in my mind and, becoming a better business owner. Didn't have the vision at that point. I had big visions, I should say, but didn't know how to get there, right? So when you talk about coaching and things like that, man, if I could have started doing that earlier in my life, I would be so much further ahead, right? But going back to what my story is, though, is, I ran that company for several years, and then took a partner on in about 2004. I started the company in 2000, took on a partner in 2004. Didn't really know much about business at all. I mean, when we both started it, we didn't even have an LLC. I was running everything out of my personal bank account for a long time, till we started together. We did find or form a bank account, just that when I look back, I'm like, God, you're an idiot, right? But I didn't know what I didn't know. So, made my fair share of mistakes and learned the hard way for a long, long time. And, ran that business with him for several years till 2011, and we really got capped out because we just didn't run a good office, right? Didn't have good business principles, and so I think we ran a good show, right? We delivered well to our clients and that, but we weren't built to scale, and we had very different visions, I think, in 2011. So we decided to separate. And I really recognized a lot of talent that Marcus Kuhlman, my present business partner, had at that point, because he was selling for me. And we had grown up as really good friends, right, in that small town. So him and I actually started Apple Roofing. And Marcus is probably the one that taught me a lot about, he was the first one that was like, man, we need a CRM, right? Now, did we choose the right CRM the first time? No, we didn't, right? I can't remember what the first one was. It was so terrible that, it didn't get used, which is pointless, right? So we ended up, moving around CRMs till we did find one. And it just, everything really happened about as well as it could after we started Apple. We grew very quickly. When I look at a CRM, Lee, it's one of those things that I think is a tool to build process around, right? And I wasn't even a very process-oriented person until I think probably 2012 maybe is when I went to a Rodney Webb thing, and he talked about process, and it just, man, it slapped me in the face, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I just started getting visions, I guess, of where this could go if we would process it out, right? And so Marcus and I really worked on process from that day forward. And when I look back at the time frame from 2000 to 2011, my God, I didn't learn anything for 11 years, right? And beat my head against the door. And what I learned from 2011 to today, you see the results of investing in yourself, right? Taking coaching, being open-minded, right? A lot of us are so proud. We don't want to, be seen as maybe somebody that doesn't have more knowledge than anybody else to our team, right? That's okay. It's all right. Having a culture where you're not a know-it-all and where you're seen learning, encourages them to be the same way. So I really think that a lot of those things played into the role, right?
Man, that's an awesome story. The bottom line is that it takes a team, and if you stick with it, the longer that you keep going, you're going to learn through just always having an open mind, having a good attitude, always trying to circle through this process. And, there's a lot of different roofers out there that, they don't know how to disseminate the truth between, what's for real on the internet and what's not. And, one thing that I can tell you is that, it's a very admirable thing that you built in Apple Roofing. amazing with that many locations, operating central location, seen it. And now it's like, how do we squeeze $10 million out of each location? And for me, like, when I went to coaching recently, I know that my team was really grateful because it helped me do a lot of things leadership wise. It got everybody more in alignment in communication, and using Zoom better and more effectively was a big part of that. But really, it's amazing. It's everybody benefits from the leader getting coaching, the whole team.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Well, so I have a saying for that, and it's not mine, but I really like it, so I've stolen it, and I don't know where it came from, but they say the bottleneck's always at the top.
Right.
I think of a beer, but like in any, when we think of the bottleneck in our business, it's us. We are the bottleneck. When we get better, our team can get better, right? So that's really the mindset that we really try to coach through the company, whether it's to myself or a manager, or whoever, right? Like that's how our team gets better, is when we get better, because we don't know what we don't know again, right? Like going back to what you said, I don't know how many times in this conversation I'm going to reference that because I love it so much, but what we don't know is our biggest.
Well, I'll tell you what I don't know about. We outgrew our CRM a little bit this year. 100% reality.
Yeah.
All the automations that are available, all the different programs that we're using, from Hell Trace to Company Cam to the Hover app to automating text and email and scheduling appointments with calendars and our software, plus the accounting with 7 locations and 200 users. We outgrew what our platform was capable of doing. And I guess you've experienced, some of that too, before, right?
Yeah, when I let's just say, the software platform I was with, I was like, oh man, like it's just numbers, right? Like this thing can scale forever is what I originally thought. Well, you don't understand the limitations that come along as you start to grow, and even the regulation that you come under as you start to grow, right? To stay compliant, to do all these things, and even the automations you could have enjoyed, right? So yeah, I definitely think there is a real struggle in the industry to have a CRM for a lot of the larger companies, right? They're having to come up with unique solutions.
Yeah, companies over $20 million right now are all kind of coming up with their own solutions, it seems like. And I understand that you're working with a Salesforce, and Salesforce is a book. I read the Trailblazer book this year by Mark Banoff, and he talked about the V2 Mom strategy, vision, measures, methods, values, and either way, what it is basically a way in which we made a playing card for each individual, and we kind of got everybody more in alignment. We did it over a quarterly event, but Salesforce is an incredible tool, but how are you making that work for you in the roofing world?
Well, I think the real advantages of it for us are, you can have guided workflow, right? So it's going to really cut back on error rates, right? It's going to cut back on the time needed to train, form habits, right? Like certain habits don't need formed anymore because it guides them through what's next, if you're struggling. What roofing company owner doesn't say like, we didn't get all the photos we wanted to do our supplements or whatever, right? Like if it's guided workflow, it's telling them the next photo to take, right? Like, so we're going to get a lot more consistency in our process, I think, because of it. But the most powerful part of it is, I think, the reporting, right? Like how many of us in our companies are struggling with the data that we see, right? That we use to make decisions in our company. And
oh my God, dude, let me tell you, it's the cash flow report, the accounts receivable report, the ISR report of where my sales reps draws are versus where their commissions are, the cap out reports, the fucking, that's not even marketing reports or the fucking lead reports or and it doesn't matter because I'm using all these different marketing automation softwares to calculate cost per lead, job softwares to calculate profit per job, calendar softwares. It's just all in different places and not united. And so whenever you have different departments, so I got a collections department, I got a supplement department, I got an accounting department, I got 7 locations. There needs to be global management of production, global management of where the files are in ownership and collections. And watching all the departments not be able to communicate, not watching the digital production boards of where each file is in the production process, not having that globalized ability to oversee it and push along. You could call it micromanagement, but if you could connect it all and have it all in one place and you don't fucking have it, then, somebody that's got 200 people and that's going in growth from, what we're dealing with, they would think, well, how could you change in the middle of the year? How could you just stop what you're doing? Because we're March 1st, we're going completely to basically a job nimbus with a HubSpot, connection through Zapier. And it's going to be a customized system where, we're using Hover, Hailtrace, QuickBooks, and we're using them all in conjunction. We had Aaron Trujillo, a consultant, really kind of help us build out and connect the dots. So it's really been it's really been great. We're starting to roll it out in one of our offices, and it's life changing. But the point is, the amount of hours that my accounting team, one mistake the accounting team made, the consequences of it, the fucking double entry in the process, finding my money for my rebates, figuring out the money for like every individual product, and the way to. I mean, it's just endless. You scale and you end up you need 40, 50 people in your inside you, and before you know it, you got the overhead of a juggernaut company, and you're carrying around a bill. I mean, I don't know what my monthly payroll is just in people, but I assume it's somewhere around 150,000 every single month without any labor. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a real thing. And, even you mentioned, like, look at how many different apps we're using, right, as roofing companies now. Like, I'm going to guess that everybody has, like, a spreadsheet they're using to keep track of all their logins and passwords and this, right? Like, the way that we have to, like, log in this, log out of that, it's like very archaic, I almost feel like, considering we're in 2021, right? Like, come on, like, can't some of these companies get with the program and provide us some solutions? You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things that I also thought is, like, the more integration we can have.
Yeah, like Acculink Flow to provide the integrations are years behind. We were out though with Claim Express's software at the same time Acculink's came out, and our software, it just didn't. That was my first failure as a family internet business. We didn't get Claim Express off the ground. We could have. If we would have continued to develop on it and fix it, it would have been great. But the truth is that we're better roofers and trainers in roofing than we are software developers. We just pivoted a little bit. And there was someone else that had a better system. So we're humble enough to say, okay, might take us a little while to figure this out. May have to bite this piece of humble pie. We're basically a software company that's formally folding into using another software. And but look,
hard to do.
You got
to do, but don't have a loser mindset, right? Where you're gonna, like, fucking stick to your guns, right? And step over pennies or step over dollars to grab a penny, right? Like,
it's more that heartache, dude. I want quality. I don't want the people that work for me to have to go through extra hell. And when you have to go through problem repairs on jobs or mortgage holdups, or you build unprofitable jobs that fucks your cash flow up, and you feel the pressures of the bills and the mounting expenses, and then people, dude, it's not a fucking pretty game. It's not,
No, right.
And go ahead.
I'll say this though, Lee. You had to probably have benefited by in your mind, by the amount of things you learned by trying to do a software company, it probably made you such a like process oriented person and really look at your organization and like what happens next, what happens next.
See, what
right?
happened was that was my dad's great accomplishment. He did that, and he did it early on. And what happens in life, sometimes you get to your greatest. This guy Kelly, you have to look up his Jermaine Taylor fight. He got knocked out in the second round. He was on the fucking mat. He was literally on the ground. And this is his champ, his world title in front of 20,000 people or 30,000 people at pay-per-view, HBO. He gets up and just comes back and beats the guy in the seventh round. My dad, he got knocked down with the Claim Express, and then basically there was a lot of debt. We didn't keep rebuilding it, but I carried that into the training. And I will tell you that basically building a software and being a software company is not the same as being a roofer. And
how many people do you know that have made that mistake in our industry, though? Right,
a lot of people have tried.
A lot of us.
Software. And my dad built a really good software because we still use it. And if he built, and the last time we had updated it was, we updated it probably 2 years ago, but very not major overhauls. So basically, it was a system built in 2012 that carried our business all the way up to where it's at. Great job, Dad.
Right.
He got me thinking like a forward-thinking person, like an industry changer. And as I was a kid, he was talking about the process with me, and that's like I was in high school being his little like mad scientist. He's talking to and I look up to all the roofers. They're my heroes. They're like growing up, it was crazy, just growing up around it. And the guy that created Mad Sky LC worked with my dad. He was one of these guys that was one of my heroes that,
He's another guy that got in software though and scrapped it, right? Look at the 3C. It cost
if you want to know
millions.
the whole story about that, basically here's what happened. They didn't want to use my dad's software, and they thought that they could create their own, and they failed miserably at it. And you know what? Ironically, the biggest chip on my shoulder is there was a family feud over it. It prevented me from being a part of my uncle's organization, and it made me like really want to build a company as big as his, but I had to start from scratch and do it for myself. So what it did is it created a monster. And
little motivation,
and so now to this day, I mean, it's ironically like a lot of people, family members, friends, people from their organization come on board because we do carry that spirit. The next generation of storm catcher. It's more of a storm catcher than a storm chaser, and a little bit of both. But it's also the best growth system in roofing, and it's not about how you count the beans, baby. It's how you plant them and how you harvest them and how you shoot them down. And I know how to cultivate an army of salespeople and cultivate a $5-10 million book of business add on to a company. If they're a brand new company, I can get them to $5 million. If they're a company like yours, I can add 8 figures, multiple 8 figures when. If you're not effectively advertising on social media and I help you get 20 or 30 extra jobs a month through social media, like we talked about, buying those jobs for $500 a month while you build your brand, you're really curious about that. Second of all, I get your story told more by using your personal brand, your social media influence, the stuff we're creating right now. It gets in front of more people. You find more companies to buy. You find more people to want to partner. You find a bigger impact. You recognize the more value you give to the marketplace, the more the marketplace gives back. And essentially, I want to help you digitally duplicate the best part of your stories so it's constantly out there selling and pulling talent back to you. Now, there's a lot of talent on Indeed, and there is nobody that knows how to run the cattle call factory better than this guy right here. Because we take people from Indeed, we put them through a Zoom call, we put them through a recruiting funnel, we put them through an online university, and we separate the serious from the curious. We get guys that knock doors. Now, are these guys all going to make it? No, there's one thing that my system does. You have to be willing to fire people. If you can't fire the bad guys, it's not the deal. But obviously you know what to do. But if there is a way that we can help you with Facebook, recruiting, landing commercial jobs, and you're our ideal client because you're open-minded, you're coachable, For one, Omaha is a great market. I don't have any elite members there that I don't have any guys that are in that market that want to dominate. And even in some of the other places that you are at, I don't have strong, because really I want like 2 or 3 strong contractors per market and kind of limit it to that.
Right.
Because I want to help you kind of be united and doing things the right way, build your brand up. But at the same time, pretty simple. If my purpose, if you support my mission, my purpose is only to get as many people in roofing as possible. My purpose is to sell this program to random people off the streets in Omaha, Nebraska, make them pay $500 to get certified as a roofing professional through Sky Diamond University, and then come to you as a certified. They paid to join the roofing industry. They trained, and you, of course, train them on your own after that. But they at least are qualified leads. Like I said, as soon as I have the skill set to be a good enough salesperson that I stop focus on selling you and I start focus on selling them, that skill set is the most expensive thing in my life, because it means that I can print recruits for free and jobs for free. And once I can do that, see, I have something other people don't. We got a platform, we got a growth system, we got a mastermind, we got events, we got all these different ways to connect the dots that all the members of our network benefit from. When they get to be leaders in the market, in the community, like you are. You're in the roofing industry now, but in my community specifically, if you were more involved, these people you'd have massive influence on everybody. And just being a part of those little communities, I call it the Trojan horse. When I buy something, and that's when I paid Grant Cardone to sell him a roof. Whenever I joined Arete Syndicate, spent $70,000 to get Ed Milet to speak at my event. And, this, if the goal is, okay, build a personal brand, find more companies to acquire, find an automated recruiting system, get badass at social media, get automated marketing and direct response and virtualize and inside sales and commercial inside sales, and let's get each office to 10 million. Let's do it. I'm telling you, we've talked a lot, we've vibed a lot. And the reason why I'm driven to do it is because I'm driven to build the best system. And I used a lot of my clients to teach me things, but becomes a testing dummy for success. Everyone gets the benefits of it. It's kind of like a co-op of information. And, we use it for, we share information in recruiting, in marketing, in door-to-door, in commercial, and operations, CRMs, all these things that, you're doing anyways. And, I want you to be a part of it. If there's any way you could get to Miami March 12th and 13th, let me tell you, I would love to have you.
I'll tell you what, Lee, like one of the things that you're saying, I really resonate with, and that is that, we all come into this space of roofing, right? And we kind of find our niche of what's working for us, right? And a lot of the times we stop there, right? We got something that's working and then we kind of duplicate on it, right? And I think, me included, right? All of us, we have to look at like, okay, what are those avenues that I'm not using today that are successful, right? And I do think we do have some room to grow in that like digital space, in that social media space, in right, like some of the things that you're doing that you're very good at.
Well, you're good at it, bro. You're a star. What are you talking about? Your first YouTube thing went viral. It got my attention to your company. It was incredible. You told an amazing story. Get an awesome tour of your office. I mean, your company's story is a star. It's results. You can't argue with results. How many people have you?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So when I say that, like you're finding large numbers of recruits, right? You're finding funnels to put them through, things like that. I think you're doing a lot of like finding your clients digitally, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of the stuff that I think needs to be given some attention in my own company, right? Right now, where I'm at right now, Lily, is like I've really taken the approach that, like, you've probably heard of that book Traction, right?
Oh, dude, I love Traction. What are you talking about? It's also,
Okay, so
it's based off a book called Rockefeller Habits. You read that one?
yep, I've read that one too.
Both of them are good
And
books. Traction makes it a little better, but I'm
well,
students of both books. I like both of them.
I
The
am
one page,
too.
the one page plan of attack. I run my business on a one page plan of attack.
Right. Well, and when I'm talking about that, though, like, one of the things I've really taken away from that is, like, focus, right? Like, what am I working on in the next quarter, right? And picking your two or three things and making sure, like, those are the things you accomplish in the quarter, because I'm a big fan of, like, when you create when everything's important, nothing's important, right? And when you have too many goals at once, that you're trying to execute on, then none of them happen, right? So, like, right now, like, my rocks are really set. I mean, we've got some really same as you right now, probably, like, some pretty heavy lifts coming in the business in the next quarter, right? Like, rolling out Salesforce is gonna be, of course, disruptive, right? Um, Change is hard. So right in the next quarter, I'm not taking any new endeavors on, right? But when I do decide to tackle that, I want to go all in. So then we're going to have that conversation. And
yeah, all I can tell you is that if you want to just taste about what's available, and you want to see what's out there and network and stuff, the Fountain Blue Miami, March 12th and 13th, going to be off the chain. But really, okay. I want and in that deal is pretty simple. We're going to be talking the first day a lot about I want to make it good for the sales guys too. I feel like a lot of these conferences, it's just all ownership based. So the first day we're focusing on we're going to be doing door-to-door objection handling, the sales process, closing. We're going to be focusing like on the basics in the beginning, and then we're going to do a commercial panel, and then Ed Milet's going to talk, and then the afternoon is more set for the owners.
Okay.
I'm going to go through my blue collar marketing method, the recruiting method, the commercial sales. That's pretty much my focus. And the rest of the speakers, Brad's going to be talking about creating. One thing about it is his brand. If you follow Brad on Instagram, he's growing hundreds of thousands. He's getting hundreds of thousands of followers every month new off of his Instagram, and he has a really good job with his content creation. But he's just going to be talking about how to duplicate himself digitally, and he's done it through his brand. He's done it through ads. He's done training, and he's been a coach of mine to do it. And so these concepts, we're also going to be talking marketing with the sales funnel team, with the marketing team. It's not, and here's the thing, Dustin, I invited all kinds of other contractors. So because I wrote a book, Contracting Growth Secrets, I had to keep it to where it's not just roofing specific, which right. When it comes down to it, you can talk sales, marketing, operations, and leadership without going directly into the nuts and bolts of an insurance claim. Because discussing how to negotiate an insurance claim is not something that really is about operating or running or scaling the business.
Right. Yeah. Usually the high level or, stuff is what we need to focus on anyway. Yeah. Not like getting down in the weeds, right?
Exactly. And I think there's going to be a lot of business owners that don't know about roofing in my community. So I've got a community of people that want to, learn about growth in contracting, but they may have a plumbing business. They may have these guys might be a perfect next candidate for your Apple roofing destination in freaking North Carolina, or who knows. My point is, right. I want to build a community where there's door-to-door pros, where there's contractors from other niches, and where there's roofers as well, and where we share, our experience, strengths, and hope, make each other better. But it's going to be different than the other groups because it's not just roofing specific. It is both sales, marketing, and unlike, I feel like my specific process is my process. I'm going to teach my process, and there's a lot of good processes out there. But I've learned a lot from a lot of guys that I've coached, from my coaches, from my predecessors, and you can take what you want and leave the rest. And that's why, I really want to, let like, shit, you're an innovator. You got you got shit growing. I mean, talk to us about this Des Moines storm. Y'all picking up in the spring out there? I mean,
Yeah, I mean that is actually it's still pretty busy in the
the great
Iowa
good.
area. It really, I mean, right now there's snow on everything, so not right now, but I mean, guys are still busy. I mean, in their back end, right? Like that was a really good storm. I think it was like neglected a lot, right?
I
Because
think so
winter
too.
was around the corner. There was a fresh hurricane, where they could probably work year round. So like a lot of people left, and I got to say, like it's the first time I was like, we need more roofers here, right?
Mhm.
Like there was people like it was the first time I've ever felt so appreciated to be there as a roofer, right? We had like thank you letters on our trucks left, like at the hotels. I was like, I've never seen this before. Usually, we have a whole different feel, but like the area was so grateful for the people that did, come in and help, and it was a great feeling. But it was a neglected area, so yeah, it was a pretty good storm.
That means it's still a good storm. That means that Apple Roofing is now hiring. They need salespeople. They need workers, and this guy's got an incredible growth system. What do you think has made Apple Roofing one of the best roofing companies to work for?
I think actually we focus probably more on our people than anything else, even before the customer, because without happy people, developed people, your customer is not going to have a good experience either, right? So like we're a very like employee focused company.
All right.
It's all about the people, right? If you get the best people, right, the team with the best players usually wins, right? So
That's what it's all about. I mean, you got to develop the players, invest in the players, pour into the players, sell the players on your vision. I've heard you talk about selling your team on your vision, really selling your team on all the details. And it's this weird idea that the roofer's job is to, operate the roofing company, write the checks, handle the insurance claims. They don't understand what it means to drive the whole company. As an entrepreneur, all you're doing is selling people on your vision, selling people on your process, selling people on following the rules, selling people on buying in, working hard, making sacrifices. You're still selling, but as the owner, it's what are you doing? What what are you doing there? What are you doing, Dustin?
building a team, building a system, right? I mean, building opportunities, right? Like you're absolutely, when you talk about like all of those other things an owner does, right? Like actually you should be thinking about how not to do those things, right? Like I haven't signed a check since like probably 2011, like find out how to not do those activities. Automate whatever you can so you can focus on the things that matter more, right?
You're damn right, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, I'm trying to get everybody to get out of the grunt work and get into the growth work. And Dustin's such a great example of that. He started off just as a roofer, and wanted to work for a builder, not knowing insurance and growing organically, investing into his own properties. And so tell me about maintenance of your inventory. How do you keep up with your inventory? Tell me the secrets on that, what you save, how it works.
Oh man,
Vision.
that was a big learning curve. You know, we started stocking some materials, in the company a long time ago, and it wasn't done on a big scale, so we never really kept inventory, right? And didn't really understand that side of the business. But when we decided to go do it on a bigger level, of course, it became much more necessary, right? We got to know what's going in and out the door, when reorder points are, sending, when to send POs, how much we need on hand, what's the popular colors, blah, 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 right? Like making sure you're like set up. And so, yeah, there was a huge learning curve for us on that. And even, how to make it profitable, right? Like, I think a lot of us roofers, and I myself included, right? You get sucked into like, oh, I can buy these accessories for less, right, in bulk, and then we can deliver them to every job or whatever, right? Well, what we don't think about is like our time or our effort that it takes or the disruption that it causes to our normal process, and it's actually a distraction and slowing us down, and we're stepping over the dollars sometimes to pick up the pennies. And, so we went from probably that to like, okay, if you're driving out to a job to deliver, doesn't it make sense to deliver everything, right? Like, if you're not going to deliver everything, you're not really capitalizing on the costs that you're incurring to like send a truck out there, right? So yeah, there was a ton of lessons learned. I mean, I don't know where to even start with that, whether it's like how much we needed concrete versus a gravel lot, or, the most basic things to the most sophisticated, right? Of running inventory through an inventory software, right? Like you need to have software for it. So all kinds of things on that side, right?
Well, that shows that you can handle all things, as long as you hire people, have a system, and hold people accountable. I heard you talk about Traction. Is that your favorite business book? And if it is, what do you love most about that book?
I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but I love a lot of the like nuggets in there, I guess, mm-hmm. Right? Lots of nuggets, lots of good principles. I think the most valuable thing that I've learned in that book is probably like, having, let's say, narrowing your focus, right? So you can actually execute. I'm like as guilty as the next guy of, wanting to do this and that, and I'm going to fix this. And I have all these things I want to work on, right? And I tackle a little bit of each one, and I never actually like finalize it, right? So now that I say, okay, I've got 2 things I'm working on, and until those 2 things are done, I can't take anything else, right? Like that's probably been the biggest like plus that I've taken from that book. It seems small, but it's powerful.
So what's the most important position in a big company like yours? How many people there? Who do you think is what do you think the most important position is?
Well, I'm always going to have to, I don't like to say I'm more important than anybody. I'm not, like, we're all a team, right? But I do think that in any company, again, that the bottleneck's always at the top, right? So like, if you have the right leadership, then what's in your way, right? I'm going to reference it again. Like, what we don't know is our biggest cost. And if you have the right leadership, whatever level that's on, whether it's a manager or the owner or CEO or whatever, right? Like, that is what's going to set the pace for the company. That's what's going to set the culture, how things are done around there, right? And so I do think that a lot of it starts there, right? That's even going to determine like what kinds of people get recruited into the organization, right? So like, if
determines everything,
really wants to,
it determines everything, man. And I'll tell you, like the most important investment I made is into the coaching that I spent to myself to become a better leader, to become a better recruiter, to become a better marketer. And
I believe that.
Everybody has to realize, like, there's no such thing as bad teams. There's only bad leaders. Dustin said it over and over again. And so that's why investing into yourself, holding yourself to the highest standard. Yes, get focused. Find 2 things to make yourself better. Dustin's probably so focused on implementing his new systems, his new CRM, and all these new things that he's just going to get that done, and he's going to get it done right. And that's the one thing that matters, And for me, I agree. Like, I have a lot of things going on. I got a big event coming up, and that is a big thing for my company, just like you. And I run the risk, focusing on.
And you've got to be trusting a lot of people, I'm sure, right? Like,
yeah.
You can't do it all, right?
No. I absolutely. I mean, the deal is that but it is a testament. There was about 2 months ago, I met a guy in a boxing gym. He was a consultant, and he was a retired guy. And I wanted someone to help me hold my management accountable, and wanted to travel and really manage my managers, help me get a new organizational chart built, kind of go through the whole thing, meet with everybody, help me be an intermediary between a lot of the tough conversations so I don't have to get emotional about it, and kind of be a gateway for me. And, obviously a 6-figure guy, and I met him at the boxing gym, and here we are about 8-9 weeks into it. He's called me. I've got to touch base with him, but this dude is like really stepped up, really done a great job. And, the funny thing is that, we've got him up to speed this quick. Now, he's a really smart guy, but it's almost like it only took me 8 weeks to train somebody how to run my company or assist me to run the company. Obviously, he couldn't do it without me and needs my direction and leadership. But my point is, that's what you want to figure out, is how to build your company so an idiot can run it. Anyone can run it, And
yeah, right. The easier it is, the better. And the less you're needed in your company, the better, right?
Well, I mean, the thing is, we always want to push it. Once you start growing your company, now you start acquiring new problems. You want to buy companies. Now you're spending money on buying problems, and you're fixing things, and you're like me, you're a masochist.
And merging, right? Like, I'm not really like a guy that, like, in the same way that, like, we want to help our people, right? Like, we also want to, if we identify another company, right, that could benefit from our systems or our platform or our culture or whatever, and we could be stronger together. Like,
it's very important, dude. It's absolutely what I am doing in the platform. There's many times where a smaller company, instead of taking on all the challenges, this owner's not a good manager, just not a good operator, just not disciplined enough. Well, guess what? He realizes he fits off better in the team, but he fits better into my team. And he might have been a company owner one day and then decided the next day that it's just better to be a member of my team in some form or fashion. But that's their choice, and that's company owner, not necessarily.
Well, hopefully, like, if you can structure it right, their opportunity grows by being together.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly what.
That's how it needs to be a win for everybody, right?
It absolutely has to be a win for everybody. And, when people can plug into a working model and they literally just have to follow the playbook, it gives them peace of mind. And if I was to come into Apple Roofing, I know that the playbook that you give me would get me on track to accomplish great things. And that's why, I'm incredibly grateful you got on this podcast and blessed us with your knowledge. We're going to have to do some more of this.
I gotta come down sometime and see. Is this this event you're having in Miami?
Yeah, it's in Miami. It's
okay.
12th and 13th.
And that's where you are residing, right?
I live in Naples, but if you come down, we'll shoot a podcast.
Too close.
We'll make it work. It's just a quick little drive across Alligator Alley. It's really scenic. But the bottom line is that we are going over the top. We've spared no expense. Good food, good venue, great speakers, great system. And then I think the best people in the audience are like my clients. These are great guys. One of the guys grew from 16 million to 60 million. His name's Josh. We're giving out championship belts. I've given out for different size companies, got winners in each division. We got heavyweight championship belts, light heavyweight championship belts. Middleweight belt.
That's where you're so strong. You're such a well thought out, like, promoter.
That's Ed Milet, dude. He taught me, like, recognition over fear, and if you don't have awards and if you're not making a show about it, then you're missing one of the hidden ways to drive. The most important thing in business is to make people, really feel whole and want to drive, and they fight for recognition. People forget about the money. People want to be recognized. And, the one thing about, what I've got to do today, I got to get into a different mindset, Dustin. I'm a little crazy. You ever seen that movie Fight Club? I'm like the guy. I got pissed off about what was happening in America. And I was mad at my dad bod. I was mad at all the salesmen pissing me off. So I started going to the boxing gym, punching bags. And now I've been obsessed with the workouts and stuff. And I even, I actually like to get in there and try my skills out. And whether it's, sparring in boxing or sparring in kickboxing, I actually, this has been a great stress reliever, fitness. I'm in the best shape of my life. But tonight, Kelly in the other room is the judge. And I gotta go in there and spar, and he's gonna give commentary, and I don't know who it is that's gonna get in the ring tonight with me. Could be some kid 20 years old, could be a fucking old man 45 years old. I don't know, but I gotta get in that kill or be killed mindset, and keeps me on my toes. I tell you, it's a healthy distraction, and you know what? I might wake up with a headache in the morning, but I'm okay with it, and it'll go away. I only do
There's worse ways to get a headache.
I only do it twice a month. You know, it's not something I overdo. But you know, the funny thing is that just doing it brought now just out of putting my energy into it. Like I think it's pretty cool because when people like me and you put our heart and soul into something and start putting waves out there, things come back to us. And Kelly, he's going to do this little event, but we're going to talk him into doing the Contractor Fight Club, where we're going to get contractors to do leadership, physical growth environment, come and practice, and then do a little amateur sparring. And we're going to do it as like a little growth event. And,
I like that.
Contractors have a chance.
People underestimate how exhausting a round of boxing is, right? Like you're probably shocked the first time you did it too, right? I know I tried it before and I was like, holy shit.
We had to stop. It stopped in the first round. I mean, I was literally started. Yeah, I mean, we started sparring with the dude, and I started going crazy, and he started going crazy, and about a minute into it, I don't know what happened, but I was like, look, I'm done, and now it's like it's a little different. That now you go in there and it's a motivator to work a little harder, a little extra in the gym. Sometimes I need that accelerator. I need that pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. And
man, you got to have the pain. Like nothing changes until you get enough pain experienced, right? To motivate you to change.
I'm telling you.
That's probably like a call out when you felt that way in the first round, right? Like, holy shit.
I was.
I'm out of shape.
And then we had a big event, and we had a kid he got the better of me a little bit. And the last two times I had another guy, he's got a lot more experience, got the better of me. So I've been thinking, okay, next time I'm 1-2. I need a win. I need a win, Rocky.
Yeah, you got the build for a boxer. You got long arms, I believe.
Oh, well, see, I'm too fucking old for this shit, dude. Here's the deal. That's why I invited Randy Couture. I just wanted to know his secret, how he fought till the age of 47. No, but seriously, Randy Couture is going to be there. Kelly says he's going to be there. Kelly's okay. Yeah, man. I just shot a podcast with him. You got to check it out, man. He's literally one.
I'm going to check on these dates if I can.
Yeah, come on.
I'd love to be there.
Yeah, man. We'd love to have you, brother. Well, guys, hey, subscribe, comment below. You can find Dustin on Facebook, Dustin Biegler. It's Biegler. Can they find you on Instagram? Where else can they find you?
LinkedIn.
Okay. Look him up on LinkedIn. Hit him up in his messages. He's always there for mentorship. He's always there for coaching. He wants to help salespeople, managers, owners of roofing companies in any way possible. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you in Miami, my man.
All right. See you, Lee.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.